It's 4 years now since my dad passed, and I was going to do a very long video talking about his last 3 years on earth and the challenges and that he had to go through when he was battling cancer, right? But I don't think I'm up to that, right? It's more difficult than I thought. So what I would do instead is talk about 5 things or 5 lessons that I learned from him, from his life, from his stories, beautiful memories that he left with us. So let's get into it. 5 lessons from my late father. Number one, get your popcorn. You would learn some lessons from this, what to do and sometimes what not to do. Okay, number one, my dad was very, very watchful of his expenses. He was doing okay, he had money. He used to work in an oil company, so you would expect that he would splurge and do all of those things. But his lifestyle was one that was very, very conservative. Well, growing up, we had the opportunity to go on holidays abroad and all of those things. But my dad, no way. He would rather go and invest that money into something else. He was extra calculated. And that kind of has rubbed off on all of us, knowingly or unknowingly. I remember my sister was telling me last year, it was her birthday. I think she wanted to get one very expensive bag, which she can afford, and then she called us. I was doing over analysis, analyzing, should I get this bag? Should I not get this bag? And we're all listening to him like, oh God, your father is showing up in all of these things. And that has rubbed us on all of us. Somehow, before splunging on something very expensive, you would have thought about it like 50 times. Is it a necessity? Is it a nice to have? Is it a must have? Can I afford it? Times 10, times 15. You think about it over and over again. Have I invested this sum to get this amount? And that's a big lesson for me. It's a very good one. So that's number one lesson. Number two lesson is my dad is very emotional, but acts very hard on the surface. You know why I know he's very emotional? We're doing a 30-year remembrance of my mom. And there was this book that he had written, a diary when my mom died. He'd written a lot of how he felt and all of that. And so we had given it to him and wanted him to talk about my mom 30 years later. You won't believe that. The first 3 minutes of that video, my dad was bawling.
In 1983, precisely April 1983. And we lived together for about 6 years. It was a short period, but very memorable.
What's going on? It's 30 years, It's very emotional. Anytime any one of us got married, he would cry. But during his day-to-day activity, you can never know that this man has emotion. You have thought of what did they do? They lie. He's a softie. And somehow that kind of also has rubbed off on us. A lot of us had to learn how to be emotional because the most part of what we saw from him was the tough side, was the disciplined and tough and not expressive side of him, and a lot of us had to unlearn that part of us, I used to say that while we're growing up, we didn't used to hug each other. We just kind of know that we loved each other, right? We don't say I love you like my husband's family. But in the last 5 years, since 4 years he died, and before he died, we started saying I love you more. We started hugging more. I appreciate you for being in my life. That's to my sisters right now. And so what I would say is the lesson is that we sometimes will go through tough times and then we allow those tough times to define us. I know that the death of my mom had a lot of impact in him. I did not know how much impact it had on him. He reminded you until we did that. I didn't know how much impact it had on him until we did that remembrance, 30 years remembrance a couple of years back. And that's when I knew that, yes, this thing taught him a lot and it kind of defined how he showed himself going forward. And so the lesson for me is that all of us are now very expressive. You say, I love you. We give hugs. not easily sometimes, but it's something that we do consciously now. That's number 2 lesson. Number 3 lesson is that my dad's family life was very, very private. Yes, he didn't have the best of marriage the second time, but he used to warn us. He used to warn us, don't go and discuss my family matter with anybody. I will resolve what I want to resolve. You know, that was the kind of person he was. And that was because he was trying to put boundaries in place and try to protect all of us, you know, and all of that. And so, yeah, anytime I go and do boom to an auntie, you know, and you know how family members can be, and they come to fight and defend and, you know, defend their brother and all of that, my dad would be livid. He would be upset. Not because what happened was right, but because who gave you the audacity and the liberty to go and discuss our family matters outside? And even when I got married eventually, one of the key things that he advised me and told me about was that, look, endeavor to resolve your matters between yourself first. I'm not saying you shouldn't tell people, but your first point of contact on reconciliation is between you and your spouse. That's a big lesson, and I love that. Lesson number 4 from my dad is that he built connection with extended family members. As busy as he was, he loved his siblings. He would always gist, you know, they used to gist about us. They would always gist. They had this bond and connection. They would always visit each other. The respect was there. Even if it's just 1 year difference between them. Anyway, we are Yoruba people, so the respect is very, very big, right? But I'm saying even if it's 1 year difference or 6 months difference between him and somebody, it's like auntie me, sister me, you know, and all of that. So he had a genuine love for his extended family members. I didn't know how much that was until he died and people started giving testimonies about how he had helped them. I thought it was, you know, I said that he was very mindful of his expenses, but even in that, he found a way to help people. Maybe not in the quantum that they would like, because they knew he was working in an oil company, so they expected so much from him. But the truth is that he gave. And not because of the testimonies alone. When I was going through some of his diaries, I would see names and account numbers of people that he had given money to, that he had on his, I won't call it payroll because he had retired a long time ago, that he was still giving money to on a monthly basis. He was that kind of giver. You know, he loved his extended family member. He kept a relationship with them. And it's something that I'm learning on the go as well too, that it's not just about me and my immediate family member. I also need to be there for extended family members as much as I can, because the truth of the matter is that you cannot be there for everybody. But it's a big lesson that I have learned from him. In fact, a lot of times when somebody is doing something, a lot of times my sisters will come together and say, Daddy will have given to this thing. Daddy will have supported this. Daddy will have, you know, Daddy will have supported it. And that's some of the basis of how we do certain things, or form some of our decisions on how we help extended family members. And that's a big one for me. And the final lesson number 5 from what I have learned from my late dad, is that he didn't know how to beg. And I think it's somehow it's pride, you know. He believed so much in merit, which is good. Do you understand? He believed so much in merit that all of us went to private universities. And I'm not saying we didn't get merit. He believed that if you want to get into a public university, which he preferred, by the way, he preferred public university, but he wanted to get the higher end of the JAMB results so that they will just pick you based on merit. But you know how the system is in Nigeria, that even when you get a high score in JAMB, you still have to go and kind of like appeal and lobby. My dad did not like that at all, you know. And so when we did JAMB and then we got the cutoff, do you understand? But his family members will say, oh, let's talk to this person, let's cajole this person. He'll say, okay, you guys go ahead and do it, but you know, I'm not going to beg for you people. I am not going to beg for you. If you want to just get it automatically, you should get the highest score. You know, and so he didn't also want us to sit at home because he's very, very big. He's very big on education. And so what he did was that, okay, you have this score, go and do the exams or the interviews for the private universities. And that's how all of us either went to private university or they schooled abroad. That's it. Do you understand? And so what's the lesson there for me? The lesson there for me was that along the line, he came back after he had retired. He came back to say, you know what, as much as marriage is important, it's also very, very important and key that you build beautiful relationships with people that are around you. You know why? He says that that's because your marriage will take you to a place, but relationship takes you further. Relationship takes you further, right? And so that's a lesson for me as well, that in as much as we excellence speaks and merit speaks and results speaks, but relationship speaks as well too. You know, God has blessed you with a gift of men, but you need to maintain those relationships. It's a big lesson for me. I think he also learned it maybe after he retired, because he noted that he may have grown much more than he grew if he had had some closer relationship the way he was supposed to, as opposed to just focusing on his work, you know. And so that's the final lesson for me. His memory is blessed, and one day I will have the courage to be able to speak about the 3-year experience. It's a very, very touchy and difficult topic for me to talk about, but I'll be able to talk about it one of these days. But for this anniversary of his death, I'm just grateful for the lessons that we learned from him. Your memory is blessed, Dad. I love you. We love you.